Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We have ourselves quite the show today, such as the Lakers and the Clippers on the brink of elimination. The Lakers will look to try to force a Game 7 tonight against the Phoenix Suns, while the Clippers are trying to figure it out against the Dallas Mavericks on Friday as they look to lick their wounds and head up to Dallas to hopefully force a Game 7. We also have some LAFC and LA Galaxy action. The Galaxy continue to trend upward despite that one little blip on the radar against the Portland Timbers. LAFC is still trying to tread water, but it's still a long season. There's still plenty of time for them. And then Pepperdine Men's Golf. Yes, Pepperdine Men's Golf. They won the NCAA Men's Golf Championship, which is absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow. So good job to Pepperdine Men's Golf. I'll be talking about them in a little bit. I don't really talk about golf, so there's the first time for everything. And then we have the Angels, Padres, and Dodgers. The Dodgers are still trying to climb their way back on top of the NL West mountain, while the Padres are trying to do everything they can to subdue the Dodgers and catch up to the Giants. And the Angels are still struggling because they're the Angels and they have lots of bullpen problems. Also, we have some NCAA scores and news. Find out which teams are doing well in the NCAA tournaments that they are participating in, and which teams are unfortunately out. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all very much for tuning in on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. I greatly appreciate it. And I know everyone's wondering, why is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on Thursday instead of Friday? Well, I have something going on Friday, and I had to move the show to today. And I actually was thinking of not going live because I actually got my second COVID vaccine and I just wanted to take it easy. But I've been taking it easy all day long today, and I feel great. I could pretty much run a mile, but I'm not going to because I don't want to, make myself sick, and I don't want to overdo it on myself. So today I just pretty much took it easy, but I am fully vaccinated. I am happy to be fully vaccinated, and I can't wait to get back to doing the things I love without a mask. But I'm still probably going to wear the mask even if everyone says June 15th you don't have to wear masks and whatnot. But I'm just going to be safe rather than sorry. So regardless, that's just how my day's going. Hope everyone else's day is going great. So without any further delay, let's get on into the Southern California sports action. But first, we have a word from our sponsor. And our sponsor is the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or just playing to stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. You can follow Southern California Warriors on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, and you can follow them on Instagram at Southern California _Warriors. And then if you go to Facebook and go to the search bar, just type in the word Southern, the word California, and then the word Warriors, and then just click on it, and then you'll be liking and following them. So thank you to Southern California Warriors for being the official sponsor of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and we appreciate them keeping the lights on when it comes to IE Sports Radio. And believe it or not, the Southern California Warriors are actually looking to add some high-character, committed, talented players to their 2021 roster. They have a few open spots and are looking for the right athletes to fill them. And if you're looking to join the Southern California Warriors and you're in Southern California, contact head coach Okalani Tafa'ima. I probably butchered that, so I apologize. But contact Coach Okalani at 760-586-3293. That number again is 760-586-3293. Or contact him at okalani@sosd.us. And definitely be a part of the 2021 takeover. So if you're looking for more information, definitely do check out that. Once again, that is on the Southern California Warriors' Twitter account. And the SoCal Supreme Sports Show definitely supports the Southern California Warriors' pro football team, or semi-pro football team. Regardless, we support them all the way. So now, without any further delay, let's get started. So we got to address the big elephant in the room, the Lakers and the Clippers. So the Lakers are in win or go home mode, or win or be eliminated mode. And what's worse is that they might not have Anthony Davis. He's questionable, and then I think KCP is also listed as questionable, but I think he has a higher chance of playing than Anthony Davis does. Unfortunately, Anthony Davis hurt his groin in Game 4 of the Lakers-Suns game, which really sucks. And I feel bad for Anthony Davis. Like, the poor guy has been battling injuries all season long, and the same thing can be said for all the Lakers. Like, LeBron got hurt, and without LeBron and AD, the Lakers are average at best, and it's really, really disappointing. And it really sucks because it kind of also goes back to the fact that the Lakers did not get a full rest like some of these other teams did. They only had like 2 months of rest, and then poof, they came back to like summer camp and preseason, and then the regular season, they weren't fully rested like some of these other teams, which really sucks. But it is what it is. Like, it's a part of the game, and the Miami Heat had that same problem, hence why they were eliminated in the first round of the NBA playoffs. They got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks. And I know that the Miami Heat aren't relevant to Southern California just because this is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show and not the Miami Sports Show, but it is worth noting that, considering they had a bubble hangover and they had to deal with a lot of injuries and COVID and whatnot. So that's one of the reasons why I think the Lakers... I think the Lakers deserve somewhat of a pass. I know injuries are a part of the game, and they're the reigning champions, and they have LeBron and AD. But do you know how tough it is to repeat as champions? It really, 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 really is tough. Especially when everyone and their mothers are against you when it comes to, wanting to see you fall. And especially having two of the best players in the NBA in LeBron and AD. Especially LeBron, since everyone likes to ride him about whenever he fails and whatnot. So, Game 6 is tonight at Staples Center. The Lakers need to win in order to stay alive in their series. The Suns lead the series 3-2, and I'm hoping Anthony Davis does get to play. There are murmurs saying that he will get to play, but if not, then LeBron needs to step up big time. He has to carry the team. If LeBron cannot have that same night he had in Game 5, where the Lakers just rolled over, where they only put up 36 points in the first half. That just goes to show you that the Lakers are nothing without AD. I mean, AD is just as valuable as LeBron is, but LeBron is getting up there in age, and Anthony Davis is big, and he's had an injury history and whatnot, so I'm hoping AD is ready to go. If not, then it's going to be a super uphill climb. But the Lakers really have to do everything they can to contain Devin Booker and Cam Payne and DeAndre Ayton and all those other players on the Suns. So Lakers need to play their best game tonight, and at least force Game 7. Like it was, this season was obviously tough for them because what was looking like it was going to be a very good season, that they were going to be the number 1 seed and win the Western Conference, turned out to be a disaster considering AD got hurt and then LeBron eventually got hurt. So my thing is that the Lakers need all, and they also need help from their supporting cast. They need Dennis Schroeder to step up. Like it's gotten to the point where Dennis Schroeder had to take down. He didn't take down his post, but he got rid of his little info on his Instagram where it says point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. He had to delete that because he had such a subpar game that he is not the point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, the point guard of the Los Angeles Lakers would not put 0 points in a crucial game which could tip the series back to the Lakers. But unfortunately, he did not perform well, and he's going to have to step up. Kyle Kuzma's going to have to step up. Everyone on the team's going to have to step up. And if KCP comes back, then that's an even bigger bonus. But LeBron can't carry the team himself, but it looks like he's going to have to if AD is not going to play tonight, which he's questionable. So we'll see what happens, but I'm confident the Lakers can at least try to force Game 7. But I think it's looking like the Suns might have this series in their back pocket, unless Anthony Davis is ready to go. And even so, I could imagine Frank Vogel putting AD on a minutes restriction for as long as possible. So LeBron really needs to, and LeBron can't have he can't have that Game 5 performance where the Lakers were getting blown out so badly. He left with like 5 minutes to go. So I get that it's frustrating seeing a loss like that, but maybe he was getting treatment on his ankle, but you don't want to leave your teammates watching a blowout like that. Like, be a team player. Like, come on, LeBron. And I, as a Laker fan, will say that especially because LeBron is basically the superstar of the Lakers. He's their headliner, and he has brought Laker fans back to believing in him, where Laker fans were still a little iffy on him when it came to him first joining the Lakers. So that's kind of my little spiel right there, and I hope I really hope the Lakers can force Game 7, because Game 5 was just such an atrocity. Game 4 was kind of a pass. Like, the Lakers did all that they could to like get back and even the score against the Suns, but the Suns just kept distancing themselves too much. And Lakers got to really hit their open 3-pointers. They missed a lot of 3-pointers. Like in Game 1 and Game 4, they missed quite a bit of 3-pointers, and it was not a recipe for success. So Lakers really have to step up tonight. Like, it goes without saying, and if not, then it's the end of their season. And I don't want their season to end in the first round. Like, it would really suck because they're the reigning champions, number 1, and number 2, it would just be quite astounding that LeBron would lose a first-round series. But again, with all the injuries that's been happening, with AD and LeBron, it kind of deserves a little bit of a pass. But some of these players, like Robert Horry and Derek Fisher, both are Laker greats. Well, depending on how you rank them, but Horry had that classic game-winning shot against the Sacramento Kings in the 2002 playoffs, and then Derek Fisher has been clutch Mick Heimerstein all over the place. So we'll see. But if LeBron were to lose a first-round series, it would be a sign of the sky is falling down, and the fact that this could tarnish his legacy when it comes to being compared to Jordan. But I think I still think he's like up there with Jordan. He's never going to be better than Jordan, but I think he's still up there, but he's not past Jordan. Like, I don't think anyone's going to surpass Michael Jordan as the GOAT of the NBA. Like the only way it happens is if LeBron wins 3 more championships with the Lakers, and which includes this season. Like everyone was saying, if LeBron wins the NBA championship, will Frank Vogel go down as the best coach that has coached LeBron in the NBA? And it's looking like it's not going to be happening, and that take is going to be closed down. But anything could happen. So you never want to count out LeBron. And then CP3 is still a little battered and bruised, but no offense to CP3 or Chris Paul, but I think Anthony Davis is way more valuable than Chris Paul because at least the Suns have a better chemistry. Like, they are young. Like, the Lakers are kind of old. Like, they have a mixture of old players and young players. But the Suns are basically young, inexperienced, but still athletic. And that's kind of what sets them apart from the Lakers, in my opinion. So, there's that right there. But that's my little thing on the Lakers. Game 6 is tonight. It's at Staples Center, and unfortunately, my prediction of Lakers in 6 has gone down the toilet. So now I gotta go Lakers in 7. And game time is at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. So Lakers really gotta pull out the win. Otherwise, they're gonna be going fishing with the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards, and all the other teams that got eliminated in the wild card round. Or not the wild card round, the play-in tournament. So, there's that right there. So you gotta do me proud, Lakers. I may have to start a prayer circle tonight, so we'll see. Now let's jump over to the Clippers. So the Clippers wound up losing their game to the Dallas Mavericks last night, 105-100. The Clippers kind of trailed for the most part, but they were within striking distance. They had their chances. The problem was Kawhi just couldn't come up clutch, and Paul George had a few turnovers here and there, and the Clippers just made boneheaded decisions. I mean, all of their starters were in double figures when it came to points. Like, Paul George had 23, Kawhi and Reggie Jackson each had 20, Marcus Morris had 16, and Nick Batum had 10 points. But Terrence Mann decided to kick the ball out. But in the waiting seconds where the Clippers were down 3, Terrence Mann actually kicked the ball out to Kawhi Leonard instead of driving to the hoop. And Kawhi airballed a baseline 3. He was trying to reenact the game-winning three-pointer that he had with the Toronto Raptors, which sent them to the Eastern Conference Finals as they defeated the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's what Kawhi was trying to reenact. But unfortunately it didn't work because he was defended very heavily. And as a result, the Mavericks were able to defeat the Clippers. So the Clippers, I think, are in a better situation than the Lakers are. I think when it comes to the Clippers, yes, they're going to have to travel to Dallas. No, I don't think they will get beaten. I think the Clippers can actually win because when it comes to this series, home court has not meant jack diddly squat. Like, both teams have actually won all of their games on the road in this series. Like, the Mavericks took the first 2 games in Los Angeles, and then the Clippers returned the favor. The game that really surprised me the most was when the Clippers actually came back from, 20 points down and defeated the Dallas Mavericks in game 3. They won 118-108, which was, I couldn't believe it. They were down, I want to say they were down by like 20 or so. It was quite astounding in the first quarter, and then they started to close the gap, and eventually they took the lead and never relinquished it. So it's quite astounding for the Clippers that they were able to come back like that. They were down 19, not 20, so my apologies, but you get the point. The Clippers were down 19 at one point, and everyone was thinking that the Clippers were going to get swept. And I was thinking, Clippers couldn't have asked for a worse start. And then they started to get it together, and everything just went peachy keen for them the rest of the way. So, the Clippers are nowhere near done yet. But I will say this, if they don't they got to win in Dallas. Like, it goes without saying. It's win or go home for them, or win or be eliminated, because they're theoretically in the Dallas Mavericks' home. So, my thing is with the Clippers is that they got to start their players have got to start coming up big, and obviously they're doing all they can to contain Luka Doncic, but he's kind of their main scorer. Like, you look at the box score from last night, Doncic had 42 points while Tim Hardaway Jr. had 20. Like, those were their only two double-digit guys. Like, the next closest player to double figures was Boban Marjanovic, which I'm surprised the Mavericks don't get him involved more, because he kind of has a height advantage over most of the Clippers players. I mean, the closest player that the Clippers have to, like, guarding him is probably Ivica Zubac, and he cracks 7 feet. So I'm surprised they don't get the big fella involved. And then they also have Kristaps Porzingis, who they don't get involved a whole lot. Like, it's mainly just the Luka Doncic show, and he's been having some shoulder issues, which is really concerning if you're a Mavs fan, but it looks like he's not fully bothered by it. Like, I think he's looking to be just fine. So, but either way for the Clippers have to come up big in their game against Dallas. Like, they for sure can win, but all their players have to, like, come together. Like, they have to come together like this is it. And Kawhi cannot take questionable shots, because after Kawhi airballed that shot, Rajon Rondo gave him this death glare, saying, "Why the heck did you take that shot, boy?" And the thing about Rajon Rondo is he is a competitor. That boy wants to win at all costs. Like, he does not care what team he's on. He wants to win, and if you do something stupid, or you cost the team the game, or you do something that probably could have been decided a little bit better, Rajon Rondo is going to let you have it. That just goes to show you how tough of a competitor he is. And personally, I'll say, I like Rajon Rondo. Even though he was a former Celtic, I like him, and I like the fire that he brings to the teams. I also can say that because he was a former Laker, and honestly, that's all you need to say. And I hate that the Lakers let Rajon Rondo walk out the door like that. Like, I think Rajon would have been a great key piece for the Lakers. And then the fact that they let him walk, and another thing is, why did they give KCP? I know I'm veering away from the Clippers, but why did they give the KCP all that money? Like, they could have used that money to, like, bring Rondo back and at least give KCP like 2 more years. I think they gave him 3 years, like $42 million. And it's like, KCP is not worth that much. I'm sorry, but he is just not. I digress, though. So, the Clippers with playoff Rondo and a coach who has championship pedigree in coaching LeBron, even though it was for that one season, is on the brink of elimination. And this just goes to show you that Doc Rivers was just not the problem when it came to the Clippers. I think the problem with the Clippers is that they're just so dysfunctional. Like, it doesn't matter who they have. They just can't seem to put it together in the postseason. Like, everyone makes fun of them for not making it out of the second round. That is the big elephant in the room for the Clippers. But if they can't even get out the first round with playoff Rondo, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris, Reggie Jackson, and all those other players, even though Patrick Beverley was a healthy scratch, which I'm surprised what's been happening with Patrick Beverley. Is he just not 100%? Like, either way, and sorry if you all heard my alarm, but either way, it would be another failure for the Clippers, because the Clippers are great in the regular season, and then they're a complete joke in the postseason. They're kind of like the Peyton Manning of the NBA, except without the championships, obviously, or the championship appearances. But they always do great in the regular season, and then everyone is saying, oh, the Clippers are going to win it all. Like, some of my friends that I know have been saying Clippers and Nets in the finals. Like, some of these talking personalities on TV, such as like ESPN or Fox, they've been saying Clippers, Nets. They're saying Clippers are still the best team. I don't want to hear any bit of that until they get out of the second round. Once the Clippers get out of the second round, then we could talk. But for right now, I don't want to hear any more of this whole Clippers are going to win the championship thing. I want to see them, like, if they're struggling with the Mavericks, I don't think they could beat the Jazz. Like, the Jazz look like a whole different team, especially with Donovan Mitchell back. And that team took down a scrappy Memphis Grizzlies team, which has one of the best up-and-coming stars in Ja Morant. But that's another story. So the Clippers, to me, they have to get the job done tomorrow. They have today to figure it out. They have today to practice, rest, and then just come together and say, we got to get our what's together, and we got to find a way to get the dub on the road, because otherwise people are going to let us have it. And the thing is for the Clippers is that I think they just don't do well under pressure. Like, I think everyone and their mothers goes on and says, oh, the Clippers are going to win, and they're picking the Clippers to win the championship. And then in the postseason, the Clippers just revert to a pumpkin, whether it's either in the first round or the second round. Primarily the second round, but still. And that's the thing with the Clippers. They don't rise to the occasion. Like, everyone thought the Lakers were going to do great guns in the postseason last year. And then everyone started to go toward the Clippers because they were, for some reason, I don't understand why they thought the Lakers weren't deep, but everyone thought the Clippers were deep in every position. They had a deep bench. They were well coached. Yada, 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 yada. And then what happened was the Clippers didn't show up in the postseason. Well, they did, and then they were up 3-1 against Denver, and then the Nuggets, unfortunately, went bye-bye. Or, no, the Nuggets told the Clippers to go bye-bye, and eventually the NBA world laughed at the Clippers, which we all had our fun laughs and all that. So, but for the Clippers, nothing was funny. And you also got to remember, the Clippers have given up a lot to get Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and all those other key pieces that they've gotten, and they still can't get out of the second round. And that is my big thing for them. If they can't get out of the second round in the next few or so years, because Paul George's contract doesn't even start till 2022, which is next year. And then I think Kawhi can walk in the summer of this year. But going back to the Clippers, if they can't get out of the second round, or at least win a championship in the next few or so years, the whole Paul George trade and the whole signing of Kawhi and the whole getting of these other players such as Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson and Pat Beverly, Rajon Rondo. And then they also got this Luke Kennard kid, and that they haven't really been using. But if the Clippers can't win with these players, especially with Kawhi and Paul George, I can 100% say that this team is cursed. Unless they have LeBron, which would kind of be interesting if LeBron joined the Clippers, which I don't want to imagine that. But I think the Clippers are cursed. The more I see it, the more I see how the Clippers keep tripping over themselves in the postseason, no matter who their coach is, no matter what their players are, no matter what's been happening with them, they always seem to find a way to trip over themselves in the postseason. And that's why I keep saying that this team is Peyton Manning without the rings, or Phillip Rivers, except Rivers was kind of consistent when making the playoffs, but I digress. So my thing for the Clippers is you gotta play under pressure, because everyone is expecting you to win the championship. And the thing about the Clippers is they don't meet high expectations. They struggle when it comes to high expectations. And the fact that they have all this talent on their team and they still can't get out of the second round. I know it's only year number 2 with all those players, but the fact that they still can't get out of the second round and they're still struggling, and the fact that they can Doc Rivers, which in my opinion is one of the best coaches active in the NBA, is demoralizing and disappointing. And then everyone wonders why people say Los Angeles is a Laker town when it comes to the NBA. I don't blame them. I don't blame anyone saying that. And I also don't blame people saying that there's no such thing as Clipper fans. They're just Laker haters and whatnot. So, unless you've been a season ticket holder for God knows when, but still. But I will say that, I'm still confident the Clippers can force Game 7. Again, but when it comes to winning on the road, that's going to be tricky. But if there's one team that could beat Dallas at Dallas, it's the Clippers. And then one more thing before I veer away from the Clippers and the NBA and the Lakers, is that people have been saying the Clippers decided to throw their last 2 games against the Thunder and the Rockets or the Rockets and the Thunder, based on number of the order of those games, because they didn't want to see the Lakers in the second round. Well, I'll also say this. Even if the Clippers faced the Lakers or the Suns, I still don't see them getting out of the second round. I mean, maybe against the Suns, and maybe against a not 100% Lakers team, and maybe against an inexperienced Suns team without Chris Paul. But I just wouldn't see the Clippers with their dysfunctional team and their ability to just fall short in big-time occasions, just wouldn't see them getting out of the second round against the Suns or the Lakers. So, again, this goes back to me saying that the Clippers need to learn to play to those expectations. They got to meet those expectations. Like, everyone says Clippers are going to win it all. Clippers are going to win the championship. They're going to silence all the haters. They're going to deliver their first championship to LA, and that's going to be something fun. But they always seem to find a way to just disappoint everyone, and then eventually they're the butt of everyone's jokes and whatnot, including my jokes. But to me, I think the Clippers, and who knows, maybe a change of scenery would be good for the Clippers, but I don't want to go into that. I digress on that last part. Either way, I think the Clippers and the Lakers will force Game 7. I think the Lakers can win tonight, especially with Anthony Davis playing, even though he's most likely not going to be at 100%. And then the Clippers, I for sure can see winning Game 6, just because the Clippers know that this situation is basically do or die, or win or be eliminated. So there's that. So that's that for the NBA portion of the show, and I'm not going to go too far, when it comes to this show, but I pretty much will just, this show won't be as long, because in less than an hour we have another show going live. So we'll just jump to the MLS, and then we'll take ourselves a quick little break, and then we'll jump to the MLB and whatnot. So let's jump to the MLS. So I have been behind because I haven't been doing SoCal Supreme Sports Show a whole lot. So jumping over to LAFC and the LA Galaxy, we had back on May 22nd, we had LAFC defeating Colorado 2-1, and then LAFC last weekend losing to NYCFC 2-1. So LAFC is still trying to figure out what their identity is, and it's kind of concerning because they're kind of the hierarchy. Because when it comes to them, they're kind of like the Clippers. They look good, and then they look good in the regular season, then the postseason they turn into a pumpkin and whatnot. So LAFC, despite this, they are still actually not doing too bad when it comes to the Western Conference. They are in ninth place, as opposed to when I last talked about them, they were in 12th place. As LAFC is, like I said, they're in ninth place. They have 2 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses, for a grand total of 8 points. So at least they're progressing. Like, I'll give them that much, but they have a ways to go if they want to keep climbing the ladder. So next up for LAFC is the Houston Dynamo. That's going to be a Saturday game, and that's going to be an 8 p.m. start time, 8 p.m. Pacific start time. So I really feel bad for the people in Houston, because I believe that is a 10 p.m. start time, which that is brutal right there. But it is what it is. So I look forward to seeing what LAFC can do. I feel they have a shot. I think they recovered well after losing to whatchamacallit, the LA Galaxy and El Tráfico, but they still have a ways to go. And also, I don't want to hear people saying that LAFC is the hottest thing since Red Hot Chili Peppers. So now going over to the Galaxy on that note, the Galaxy did get back on the winning track as they defeated San Jose 1-0, though I will say this, and I was told this by my colleague Andrew Hagenbaugh, the host of the Soccer Scoreboard Show. They actually got lucky because San Jose scored an own goal, which, well, in a 1-0 game, that's basically a game of inches. Like, to me, soccer is a game of inches, and I think the Galaxy barely squeaked out of that one alive, especially since it was on the road. And the fact that the Galaxy they've had decent goalie play outside of Seattle and Portland. But against San Jose, I really think their offense kind of needs to start clicking, just because they're nowhere near out of the woods yet. Like last year, I keep saying this, and I keep bringing this up, the Galaxy had 22 points. They were one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. This year, the Galaxy have 15 points, and there's still plenty of season left going on in the MLS. The previous week, the LA Galaxy lost to the Portland Timbers 3-0 on their home turf, which was very demoralizing. Both of their losses have been 3-0 losses to the, I wouldn't say West Coast teams or the Northwestern teams, but the teams like in like the Oregon, Seattle, Oregon, Washington area. There we go. And then also the Galaxy's, believe it or not, the Galaxy's wins have all been courtesy of, have all been on the road. Well, no, not all of them are on the road. They haven't lost a game on the road. Like, they defeated Miami on their home field, and then they also... No, they haven't. But, yeah, that's it. That's their only home win. That was against Miami. And then all their games that they've played on the road, they've won. They beat the New York Red Bulls 3-2. They defeated LAFC, which I don't think that's really a road game, but I digress. They beat the LA Galaxy 2-1. They beat Austin 2-0, even though that's an expansion team. And then they beat San Jose 1-0. So it is good that the Galaxy are winning these games on the road. Like, that's quite astounding. But I'll give them a tip of the cap. So there's that. So next up for the Galaxy, they take on the Seattle Sounders. Now that is going to be a very tough matchup. The Sounders are the West Coast's best team right now. They actually are the only... Oh no, they're one of two teams that doesn't have a loss. The other being Nashville, but in the Western Conference, Seattle has 5 wins, 3 draws, and 0 losses, and they've only given up 3 goals. Like, they've scored 14 goals altogether on the season, and they have 18 points. But Seattle's going to be a very tough opponent, especially since it's going to be at Seattle, which again, the Galaxy have been good on the road, and that is something I'm quite impressed with. They've played really well on the road, but they're facing a Seattle team. I know they know what Seattle has now after they played them, but against Seattle, they're going to have to play practically perfect. Their goalie play has to be perfect. Their offense has to be perfect, and they can't get like stupid yellow cards. Again, I'm not the biggest soccer expert in the world, but soccer is indeed a game of inches. I could pretty much say that. But if they can't, but this is their biggest test. If they could beat Seattle and hand them their first loss, that would be something. Like, this is to prove if the Galaxy are for real this year. Like, if the Galaxy can even get a draw, that would prove that the Galaxy are for real this year. If they lose, then they still have a few more questions they need to answer, like can they beat the big boy teams? Because Portland is the number 7 team, is 7th in the Western Conference, and it just gets tougher for the Galaxy going forward. Kinda. I mean, next week they have Vancouver, but in 2 more weeks, they have San Jose, which that's also a rivalry game. I don't know the official name for it, but still. And then the Galaxy also have other talented teams such as Sporting KC. Dallas, I think Dallas is the worst team. Salt Lake, I want to say, is up there. I want to say. Regardless, I don't think there's not going to be an easy match when it comes to the Galaxy. Like, now that the Galaxy is one of the best teams in the Western Conference, that target on their back is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Especially since they're such a highly touted team. And with them being a high market team in Los Angeles, behind the Dodgers and the Lakers, in my honest opinion, I think that's going to be the key factor. Like, the Galaxy have to earn their stripes. And if they pull out the win against Seattle, I think I'm 100% sold on them that they are for real. If they tie with the Sounders, I think they're up there, and I think they are worthy of being one of the top teams in the Western Conference, but they still have a little bit more to go, and they still have a few more things to tweak. And then if they lose to the Sounders, they still have a lot of work to do. But it's still a long season. Like, one of their 2 losses was against Seattle, and then Seattle, like I said, has only given up 3 goals all season. So it wouldn't be surprising if Seattle wins, but I kind of have faith in the Galaxy, especially since they now know what to expect. They're not going to go in blind like they did the first time around. So if the Galaxy pull out the win, it would be quite the big win, and I would be quite impressed. So there's that for the Galaxy. I have a good feeling about it. Like, that Galaxy Seattle game is a 6 p.m. start time. That's going to be on ESPN+. Like, looking at Seattle, however, their last 2 games ended in draws. Against Austin, they tied 0-0, and then against against Atlanta, they tied 1-1. And even against LAFC, it was looking tight. Like, it was 0-0 at halftime, and then the second half, I think it was like in the 60th minute or so, the Sounders actually started to pull away, and it was the 57th minute that they got the first goal of the game. So around that time, basically the Sounders started to pull away from LAFC, but they struggled against them. So either way, Seattle isn't all that indestructible. So we'll see how it goes for the Galaxy, and we'll see how it goes for the Sounders. And then we also got to keep an eye on Sporting KC, just because I'm looking forward to that Sporting KC LA Galaxy matchup. One, because my boys at the Kansas City Shuffle with Dave Friedman, Ryan Pesquire Davis, and Petey Pablo spelt differently will be a great little matchup, and we may have some bragging rights, and we may crack a little joke or 2 with one another. But I will also say this, Sporting KC is also atop the Western Conference, as they're the second best team. But Sporting KC actually has 16 points. They are one above the Galaxy, who has 15 points. So, again, this is a game of inches, and the point system and the wins and losses are no exception. So, we'll see what happens on Saturday when the Galaxy visit Seattle. I believe the stadium is called Key West Arena, if I'm not mistaken. It's the same place. Oh, I guess. Oh no, this game is going to be at Dignity Health Sports Park. So I keep forgetting that when it comes to soccer, the team on the left is the home team, while the team on the right is the away team. So this kind of contradicts what I said about the Galaxy being a good road team. So oops. So yeah, so in other words, the Galaxy have lost, and actually Seattle plays at Lumen Field, so that's my bad. That it just goes to say I'm not the biggest soccer expert, but at least this goes to show everybody that the Galaxy are pretty good at home. So that's a promising sign for the Galaxy being a good home team, and who knows, maybe they could defend home turf. And I didn't know they played at the Dignity Health Sports Park. I keep forgetting that because Dignity Health Sports Park used to be known as the StubHub Center, and then they changed it for some odd reason. That was when the Chargers used to play at, which we're not going to get into that. But it'll forever be StubHub Center in my opinion. And Dignity Health Sports Park is in Carson, so there's that. But if you want more and better soccer analysis, definitely check out the Soccer Scoreboard Show with Andrew Hagenbaugh every Sunday. It primarily goes on 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, but with Andrew and his busy schedule, he goes live sometimes at like 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's still a great show, and he not only talks about the MLS, but he also talks about all the other leagues like the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and all the other professional soccer leagues. So there's that right there. But that's going to do it for the MLS portion of the show. Before we take our break, I definitely want to give a shout out to Pepperdine's men's golf team as the Waves managed to win the NCAA tournament, and Clay Fiegler was the one that had the game-winning putt, or the championship-clinching putt. So let's actually give you the sound of what it was like.
Sorry.
Funny thing is that the caddy actually had to put down the golf clubs and whatnot, and he actually had to run up and hug his teammates. And I thought they were gonna go into the sand trap. It's like, please don't go into the sand trap. But this was awesome, and this actually happened less than 24 hours ago. So this happened yesterday at around 5-ish. So there's that. So good job to Pepperdine Men's Golf, and I gotta give them an applause button real quick. And then one thing I wanted to give a shout out to when it comes to the Pepperdine men's golf team was that they were actually the heavy favorites from last year until COVID canceled everything. So absolutely amazing job, Pepperdine men's golf. I definitely got to give a tip of the cap to them. I also got to give one more tip of the cap to Pepperdine women's tennis, as they unfortunately fell short in their championship match against Texas. But they had a phenomenal season. They lost the championship match 4-3. But we are very proud of Pepperdine women's tennis, and we are also very proud of Pepperdine men's golf. You are definitely making Southern California super duper proud. I am very proud of you, and again, salute from me, Teran Rodriguez. And on that note, we are going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we'll have some more talk about the Angels, Dodgers, and Padres. And then we'll probably send you all on your way because, again, we have another show coming on at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So tune into that. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with a list of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the colleges, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And welcome back to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you to all of our other shows that are going to be going live today. In about 36 minutes, we will have the Extra Mile with Dale Kinsey Jr., Michael Ward, and Christopher Lehman going live as they'll be recapping the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. The Indy 500 always impresses, and it never, ever disappoints. So definitely do check out the Extra Mile, which is coming on in 36 minutes. Probably going to be 35 minutes. So those three always do a great job. And the Extra Mile is one of the longest tenured shows here at IE Sports Radio. And I hope the SoCal Supreme Sports Show and Set Point... No, Set Point, you're not coming out right now. I hope SoCal Supreme Sports Show and Set Point one day meet that echelon of being one of the longest tenured shows at IE Sports Radio. And And also, iSports Radio has other shows, not just SoCal shows or volleyball shows or motorsport shows. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the Soccer Scoreboard Show with Andrew Hagenbaugh. We have Fast Break with Dentarius Locke and Davidson Crooks. They probably will have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Lakers and the Clippers. They go on every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They do a fantabulous job. And we also have other shows dedicated to other sports, like combat sports with Gloves Off. We have 3 and Out when it comes to football. And the list goes on and on. We also have shows dedicated to certain parts of the world, like we have a Kansas City show. We have a show dedicated to Pittsburgh, a show dedicated to Philadelphia. We have a show dedicated to Indianapolis and Ohio. The list goes on and 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 on. And we're going to be getting bigger soon. We're going to be getting more shows. I promise you all. I promise you all. If I'm lying, then you have every right to call me out on Twitter. So there's that. But back to the show. We're back to the Southern California sports action. We're just going to breeze through the baseball portion of this show. So long story short, the Dodgers are still licking their wounds, but they're still treading decent water when it comes to the NL West, as the Dodgers are 33-23. They are in third place behind San Diego, which is 34-23, while the Giants are 34-21, and they're in first place. I can't believe this. I knew the Giants were going to be somewhat good. Like, the Giants are more times than not the kryptonite of the Dodgers, but I didn't think that the Giants would be this big. Get it? Giants, big. You see what I did there? I'm a funny man, but I definitely don't know it, man. All right, but back to the Dodgers. So, Dodgers, they just recently got Austin Barnes off of the DL. I think they got a few other players off the DL. Tonight they have the day off. Tomorrow, they start a 3-game series with the Atlanta Braves. They play the Braves tomorrow in Atlanta at 4:20 p.m. Yes, I said it, 4:20 p.m. Ha ha ha. And then on Saturday, the Dodgers play the Braves at 4:15 p.m. Pacific Time on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the Dodgers and the Braves play one another at 10:20 a.m. Then next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they play the Pittsburgh Pirates. They travel up to Yinzertown to play the Pirates. The Pirates, unfortunately, have not had the best season, as they unfortunately made headlines for a play in which one of the Chicago Cubs players stole first base, and then he eventually went to second. So just look up Cubs, Pirates, blunder or whatever, Cubs Pirates, and then I think you'll get your answer. So there's that. So if you want more analysis on the Pittsburgh shows, on Pittsburgh sports, definitely check out the Yinzer Report with Ben Mettello. He goes on every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. And then, as I mentioned, the Chicago Cubs, definitely do check out the Chi-Town Weekly with Adam Karnick every Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, and 7 p.m. Eastern. And those two do a great job with their shows. So next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Dodgers return home to the Chavez Ravine to take on the Texas Rangers, who is the worst team in the AL West. Congratulations, Angels. You're not the worst team in the AL West. But the Dodgers take on the Rangers next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Texas Rangers. The first game is at 7:10 p.m. The second game is at 7:10 p.m. next Saturday. And the third game, which is a Sunday, is 1:10 p.m. So that's pretty much that for the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are still in a good shape. Like this, unlike last year, this year is kind of a marathon instead of a sprint. So I think the Dodgers still have time to get healthy, and they still have time to hopefully work their magic. So as for the Padres, they start a 4-game series against the New York Mets as they play at Petco Park tonight at 7 p.m. The second game, which is tomorrow, starts at 7:10 p.m. And then the Saturday game is at 7:10 p.m. And then the Sunday game is on Sunday, obviously, at 3:10 p.m. And then there's no rest for the weary, as the Padres will have another series at Petco Park against the Chicago Cubs, starting on Monday at 7 p.m., Tuesday at 7 p.m., and then Wednesday at 1:10 p.m. These are all Pacific time, by the way. And then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Padres hit the road to the Big Apple to take on the New York Mets. The first game is at 4:10 p.m. Pacific time. The second game is at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time, and then the third game is at 10:10 a.m. Pacific time. So the Mets are a pretty solid team. Like I think they're underrated, as well as the Cubs. Like the Cubs are a pretty good surprise. So this is a big. How many games is that? 1, 2, carry that. 10 games. This is a big 10-game stretch for the Padres, and their next day off isn't going to be till next Thursday. So there's no, like I said, there's no rest for the wicked. At least they're going to get their next 7 games at Petco Park until they have to travel to New York. And then after their series against the Mets, they won't be returning home until they face the Cincinnati Reds. So San Diego, enjoy your home field while you can, because nothing sucks when having to travel on the road. So there's that. But the Padres are still having a good season. I still think they have just as good of a chance as the Dodgers of winning the NL West. Like, the Padres probably pose the biggest threat to the Dodgers. Like, soon the Giants are going to cool off. I hope that is the case. I really don't know how the Giants are, like, so hot. Partially because the Dodgers have been hampered with injuries, and then same can be said for the Padres. But I could see the Giants slowing down a bit. So it's only a matter of time. So there's that. And then lastly, we have the Angels, which split a 2-game series against the Giants. The Angels start a 4-game series against the Seattle Mariners. This series will be in Anaheim Stadium or Angel Stadium. The first game starts tonight at 6:38 p.m. Then the second game, which is Friday, starts at the same time. Then Saturday's game will be at 7:07, and then Sunday's game will be at 1:07. And again, these are all Pacific time. Then after the Angels play the Mariners, they have a 3-game homestand against the Kansas City Royals. The Angels play the Royals on Monday at 6:38 p.m., then on Tuesday at 6:38 p.m., and then on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So Kansas Cityans are going to be experiencing 8:30 p.m. Pacific time starts for the Royals game. So I feel bad for them. I'm sorry, but I do. And then next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Angels will travel to the desert to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. I hate to say this because one of my colleagues is a Diamondbacks fan, but I hope the Angels sweep the Diamondbacks so I can, because it would be funny if they did. I could have some bragging rights to him, but I digress on that. So next Friday, the Angels play the Diamondbacks at 6:40 p.m. And then on Saturday, the two teams face each other at 1:10 p.m. And then on Sunday, the Angels and the Diamondbacks face each other at 1:10 p.m. And these are all Pacific time, mind you. So, again, the Angels, unfortunately, are the odd man out when it comes to the Southern California baseball teams. They were off to a promising start, and then they cooled off drastically, partially because their bullpen has been complete dog-doo, and also because Mike Trout got hurt. He is still out for another, 4 weeks. I think maybe even fewer than that. I hope he gets back soon. Regardless, the Angels are in 4th place in the AL West. They are 6.5 games behind first place, which is locked up courtesy of Oakland. Well, not locked up, but is in possession of Oakland. And then the Astros are right behind them with 1 game. And then the Mariners are 4.5 games behind the Oakland A's. I at least want to see the Angels getting 3rd place. Nothing stinks worse than seeing the Angels struggle. It really is bothersome, if you ask me. I I thought the Angels were going to turn the corner, but instead they continue to just disappoint. And I feel bad for Mike Trout because his career is getting wasted there. And also, Shohei Ohtani has been he's been so great for the Angels this season. Like, it's quite astounding. Like, he has been doing so phenomenally for the Angels. Like, his highlights just will make your jaw drop. I promise you. Like, you could even call me out on it if I'm not telling the truth. So, like, he's just been so great, and it really sucks that the Angels are just laying a goose egg, partially because of their bullpen. But it just goes to show you that the Angels need to stop focusing on bats, and they need to start focusing in the offseason when it comes to, like, pitching. Like, they need to get bullpen help, and they also need to get starting pitching help, because Dylan Bundy cannot do it all by himself. So, we'll see what happens with the Angels, but unless the Angels have, like, the biggest turnaround in MLB history, I just don't see the Angels making the postseason. Like, this series against the Mariners will help them if they play their cards right. If they can get 3 out of 4 against the Mariners, they might actually have a chance. But they're still playing third banana behind the Astros and the Oakland A's and whatnot. So, and I thought the Oakland A's were going to take a step back this year, but apparently I was wrong. Like, the Oakland A's started off, losing their first 9 games of the season, and then they were making me look like a genius until the Oakland A's started to play actual baseball, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. When did they start their first game of it? The Oakland A's lost their first 6 games of the season. They lost 4 games to the Astros, and then they lost 2 games to the Dodgers until the Dodgers collapsed in that 3rd game, which really sucked. But ever since then, the Oakland A's have been on a tear lately. Well, not lately, but still, they have resurged. They have risen like the phoenix that they are. I have been hearing that Oakland has been exploring options to move, which I'm thankful I don't cover Northern California. No offense to Northern California fans listening to this, but I'm glad this is the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Otherwise, I'd be talking about them quite a bit. So, there's that. But that's pretty much your little fix on the MLB going on. One more thing before I dip is I did get word of a poll that happened with the Chargers and their owner Dean Spanos, and I was told that 90% of Chargers fans say that Dean Spanos should sell the team to, like, pay off whatever debt Dean Spanos owes to wherever, which, let me just pull that up right now. It's funny because I'm surprised Chargers fans are actually saying this. Let me pull it up where it's at. Here it is. This comes from Sided Debates, or the sided Twitter account. They said 90% of Chargers fans want to see team owner Dean Spanos sell the team after his family debt was made public. And then most people are saying never saw the poll. And I want to see this poll for myself because I'm surprised. I still find it funny. It's not surprising that I saw this. Oh my God! It's way more than 90. It's more than 90%. It's 92.11%. 92.11% saying that Dean Spanos should sell the team. Oh my God! And some were saying yes, he should sell, even though they're not fans. And then And then one person says that he is the bottom tier of owners. And then one guy says the remaining Chargers fans don't like Dean. They want him to sell the team. And they says, I don't know how you guys think we actually want Dean Spanos. I don't like Dean Spanos one bit. I hate what he did with San Diego. But it is what it is. Like, there's no use crying over spilt milk. And unfortunately, they didn't get him the stadium. So all the Chargers can do is hope that Justin Herbert can bring revenue in and hope that he could bring in more profit for them. That's the word, profit. Justin Herbert can bring profit in, and he's done a great job with that. Like, I have been hearing, surprisingly, that Justin Herbert's jerseys have outsold even Patrick Mahomes, which that is kind of surprising just because Justin Herbert's still he's only in his sophomore year. So I gotta look this up, but Yeah, it says, this is according to Sports Pac-12, ex-Oregon Duck Justin Herbert's NFL jersey outselling Mahomes' and Aaron Rodgers. Now that's kind of astounding. Like, I really find that surprising. Like when it comes to the Fox Sports NFL, Herbert's jersey is number 8, which is ahead of Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Smith, Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and Joe Burrow. The only ones that are ahead of Justin Herbert's jersey, and this is according to Fox Sports NFL, are Najee Harris's of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tom Brady's white jerseys, or Super Bowl jerseys, Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears, and then Justin Fields' white jerseys, and then Justin Fields' orange jerseys, and then Justin Fields' blue jerseys, and then Tim Tebow's Jacksonville Jaguars jerseys are number 2 and number 1. Number 2 is the black Tim Tebow Jacksonville Jaguars jerseys, and then Tim Tebow's teal jerseys are number 1, which I'm very surprised that Tim Tebow has the top-selling jerseys as of right now, which it's really, really surprising, and I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm still surprised Justin Herbert has a much higher selling jersey than Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. But I'm not complaining. I being a Chargers fan am all for this. So good. So good for Justin Herbert, and I'm really excited for this Chargers season. Like, I really hope the Chargers have a successful season, and by successful I mean I hope they get to the postseason. I did see something on NFL memes that the Chargers and the Bucks were kind of comparable. Like, they're somewhat comparing the Bucks, the Bucks' season to the Chargers' season. To the Chargers' up-and-coming season, where the Chargers finished 7-9. They drafted an offensive tackle, and then they eventually made the Super Bowl, and then in their home stadium, which is in SoFi, which this year's Super Bowl is going to be played at SoFi, and then the rest was history. But I think that's kind of a little coincidental, just because as you compare the AFC with the NFC, the AFC is wide open. Like, there's so much talent. Like, it's not just the Chiefs, it's the Bills, the Patriots are on the rise, the Colts have a pretty complete team on both sides of the ball, the Titans are kind of up there, the Browns are looking better and better throughout the years. The Ravens are still up there with Lamar Jackson. Then you have the other up-and-coming teams like the Dolphins, the Patriots look improved. They're probably going to get most of their players back since they opted out from last year. And then you never know with the Jets and the Jags, but who knows? And then the Chargers, like I said, are on the rise as well, but as Larry told me in the chat room I think it was last show, the Chargers can be an ace card. They could either be 1, which bad expectations, or 11, which meeting expectations, defeating teams that they're probably not supposed to beat, and making noise in the AFC. Like, that should have probably been the Chargers last year, because, again, they had a lot of games they should have won. Like, they blew the 11-point lead against the Chiefs in Herbert's first start. They struggled immensely against the Panthers, and obviously Austin Eckler botching that lateral was not fun. They blew the 17-point lead against the Bucks. They blew the 17-point lead against the Saints. They blew a 21-point lead against the Broncos. They whiffed against the Raiders, which they had a special teams blunder. And that was that. That was all their close losses. The Bills loss, I understand, but they could have won that one as well. They just made one mistake too late. And then obviously they had the Patriots loss, which was a complete nightmare, which I didn't even bother seeing. I was busy with other stuff. So there's that right there. And again, I'm excited for this Chargers team. I feel they have good key pieces this season, and I think maybe they could turn some heads this year. Do I see Super Bowl in their future? Probably not. But I will also say this, they are looking very, very promising, and so long as they don't suffer any setbacks or any tragic injuries, heaven forbid, I think this team is going to look pretty good next season. Some people are saying that, and I think that the Chargers can make the postseason. Do I think they can win the AFC West? No. Do I think they could have a quiet yet impressive postseason run? Possibly. They could be in the situation where Phillip Rivers was when he and Tom Brady were in the league, where Rivers unfortunately kept running into Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, and he just couldn't get to that Super Bowl, which was disappointing. And as a Chargers fan, I felt really bad for the guy. So we'll see what happens this year with Justin Herbert in his sophomore year. I have a great feeling about this, and I think it's going to be one very promising season, and I can't wait for it. So that's that for the Chargers. I can't believe I actually turned a little Dean Spanos news from a poll into like somewhat of a Chargers segment. I didn't intend for that to happen, but I was able to kill some minutes. But that's going to do it for today's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. In about 12 minutes, we have the Extra Mile going live with Dale Kinsey Jr., Michael Ward, and Christopher Lehman. I recommend you definitely check it out. I don't care if you're not a fan of motorsports. The three that I just mentioned do a great job when it comes to breaking down all the races. It's like walking into a classroom, a motorsports classroom, a motorsports history classroom, and just learning about motorsports. And they're definitely going to talk about the Indy 500, and they're also going to be talking about the Coca-Cola 600, which those are two noteworthy races that happened this past weekend, especially the Indy 500. Like, I still can't believe Elio Castroneves won, and if I pronounce his name wrong, I apologize. Fun fact, I actually got to see Elio Castroneves at a hotel once. I stayed at a hotel. I don't know the exact location, but I stayed at a hotel, and my mom, my brother, and I saw Elio at a table, and we were like, oh my gosh, it's Elio Castroneves. So that's my little Snapple fun fact of the day for you all. But that's going to do it for the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to get on out of here. Because in 10 minutes, we have the Extra Mile going on. You dig? Thank you all once again for tuning into the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I promise, next week will be back on its original Friday spot. I'm almost 99% certain I will have nothing going on that Friday. I promise you. Nothing's going to get in the way of me doing the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on Friday. And heck, I think it's probably going to be on its original 5 p.m. slot time. We're going prime time, baby. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourselves a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend. And I will see you later on for Set Point. Definitely do follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show at SoCal Show IESR. You can follow me on Twitter at Teran Rodriguez 1. My Twitter name is basically going to be in the description, as well as the show's Twitter account. And I will see you all next time. Have a great rest of the weekend, and remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace.